Henry Cavill's Superman video in the year 2025. What is going on? Did I think in the year 2025 I would be doing a Zack Snyder Henry Cavill Superman video that was requested? Seeing as I am the founding father, and I did a lot of like restore the Snyderverse videos where I told you we would be getting Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 1, even though the trades told you that would not happen, and I literally told you that would happen, and it did. I kind of feel like I'm obliged to make this video. So what has caused controversy? So Zack Snyder has recently joined the Instagram, and he's already getting more engagement than James Gunn. Interesting. 117,000 followers compared to 3.8 million followers. 43 posts compared to 4,900 posts. Zack Snyder's following 8 people. That tells you everything. James Gunn's following 500 people nearly. What is that? What are these people that follow hundreds of thousands of people? So, yo, what is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on... I don't even know what it's on. Henry Cavill Superman is back, is he though? Okay, so we are in the middle of a Warner Bros. Discovery buyout. Whether you believe it or not, that's not really my place to say. So what is interesting is a lot of comments on Twitter, YouTube comments, and all over the place. We'll all talk about, yes, they turned down the first offer. They did turn down the first offer. In the history of companies being bought out, when you look at the likes of Activision Blizzard, do you think Activision Blizzard took the first offer that Microsoft chucked their way? No. Do you think 20th Century Fox took the first bid that Disney threw their way? No. So the fact the offer was rejected because the share price was only $20 tells you everything. It really does tell you everything. Now, Zack Snyder is a clever person. I've met him multiple times. Pretty cool guy. What can you say? And everyone's like, after Rebel Moon flop, he's literally working on a UFC-based movie with Turkish Ali Alu, one of the richest guys in the world, right? So people are always going to work with him. So the caption of this post has triggered the DCU fandom. Henry Cavill is Superman from BVS shot with the 50 mil, 3 weeks on Instagram. Thanks to everyone. What is Zack Snyder saying here? Zack Snyder is saying this is his Superman. He is celebrating a post, and Henry Cavill is his Superman. Interesting. There's an article here. This photo arrives at the time when the future of the DC Studios and Warner Bros. Discovery is in flux, and fans are once again wondering if Snyder is hinting at something bigger. Now, he's too old to play Superman. No, he's not. Not unless he's over 60, which he's not. I mean, we've got Marvel Cinematic Universe running on the back of Robert Downey Jr., who's 60, for not just Doomsday, but for Secret Wars. Could the Snyderverse return? Yes, potentially it could, right? So we have Supergirl coming up, we have Clayface coming up, and we have Green Lanterns. And Superman lost money, confirmed. Season 2 of Peacemaker dropped the viewership by 40%. But you DCU fandom bros want to go, but it got good ratings on Rotten Tomato. Yeah, but if no one watched it, and if the ratings dropped by 40% from the season 1, how is that success? The only metric you should really be looking at, did something make money? Did people watch it? Doesn't matter if people hate it, as long as they watched it. That is the only metric. Studios love their metrics for, yo, what did Rotten Tomatoes say? So it's interesting. David Corsonet, obviously, is the new Superman, and I think he did a good job. He had a very bad script. James Gunn's good at directing, and that's a big problem here with James Gunn over DCU Studios, is he knows how to direct movies. He doesn't know how to write movies, doesn't know how to be in charge of a studio, and he only really cares about his own projects. So this image on this article says, David is Superman. Whilst the post celebrates Cavill's iconic portrayal, James Gunn's Superman movie star, David Corsonet, is the new Superman. Gunn's reboot marked a new start for the DC universe, setting the tone for his so-called super family era. Interesting. It's supposed to be God of Monsters. But Salvation is part of God of Monsters, and they're all disciples for Darkseid. Okay, we've heard it. Snyder's post, however, feels like a reminder of the old guard. and a quiet response to fans who continue to voice disappointment over Gunn's creative direction. So do I, because it's not just him. We've got Pete Saffron. I've met Pete Saffron, met him at the UK Shazam premiere, had about a 10-minute conversation with him. Really good guy, but he's more the horror side. He's more good. He's more to do the horror side stuff. Snyder's post follows backlash to Gunn's DCU fans. Snyder's timing wasn't random. His Cavill post follows growing backlash on Gunn's DCU frustration amongst fans who feels disconnected from the franchise and the tone. I've seen people who supported the Superman movie massively before it come out, and they were disappointed. And people who didn't even watch Peacemaker, it's not really their thing, but that does set up the next Superman movie, which is a glorified sequel, but he's trying to make it out it's not. I get it. You don't have to technically watch that movie. Sorry, that TV show, but you kind of do. We've already been told that James Gunn will be out as DC Studios head, and impact likely will be felt all the way down to DC Comics. Snyder's faithful have stayed vocal online, criticizing the creative choices and direction of Gunn's Superman and Peacemaker project. Snyder's image of Cavill posted now feels like a symbiotic statement that his Superman defines the modern era of DC heroes. It does. It's insane. 100,000 Instagram followers, and he has got 386,000 likes, 12,000 comments. And it's kind of funny seeing the Gunn and Snyder fans argue with one another. If only Gunn's Superman was actually, you know, aimed at a mature audience. We're not saying it has to be dark and gritty, but you could have made it a little bit dark. So that post got more engagement than a celebration of Peacemaker Season 2. But Gunn's got 4 million followers, and it got more engagement. The only post that he's done that has got more engagement was the Man of Tomorrow post. But that was a long time ago. And of course, you can't really go by the likes on Instagram. So if you go by the comments, right, the Man of Tomorrow announcement, 12,000 comments. Henry Cavill's post, right, on Zack's page, just under 13,000. So if you want to go by real engagement, comments is a much better metric of real engagement than someone hitting a like. Zack's getting more engagement just putting a post up about his old Superman. Snyder would only return for The Dark Knight. That's really old news. Snyder said before that he would return to DC, but it would only be to adopt a Dark Knight Returns by the Frank Miller. The story features an older Batman and Superman facing off a grim, deconstructed world. I'd be down for that. I really would be down for that. If Snyder does come back, the assumption is that he would want to reunite with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill's Superman to play an older version of the characters. His latest post could be teasing something. Creatively, come back. If the new ownership takes control of Warner Bros. And the DC brand, interesting. The Snyder faithful also hoping that Netflix buys Warner Bros. Discovery and returns to Snyderverse. However, we've been told everybody has moved on, including Zack. I think if Netflix buys Warner Bros., the Snyderverse is definitely returning. But when people say they want the Snyderverse back, I don't even think you comprehend and understand what they're saying. They're not saying they want a brand new universe and they want the Snyderverse to take over everything. All they want is to see part 2 and part 3 and a Man of Steel sequel. That's it. Had Gunn actually allowed part 2 and part 3 of Zack's vision and a Man of Steel 2 on an Elseworld storyline, which they could have done, I really still don't understand why they didn't do that, then this would have went down completely different. Now, Gunn's vision, it's unclear, but it looks like either the center is going to be the overall villain based on the Peacemaker Season 2 kind of finale and some information that's come out about Green Lanterns. But this is not really new information because the center has been teased since before any of the DCU projects coming out. So the center essentially was involved in the DC New Frontier storyline, but this is to do with the DCU Lantern show, and there was a post, a video on Reddit that was forced to take it down. A YouTuber, Josh from the Denver Nerd, is kind of, I guess you could say, hinted at some things that suggests the center might be teased, but like I've said, The center was basically a rumor that went out as soon as Gunn spoke about the New Frontier DC comic. So I wouldn't necessarily say this is like a new theory, but Gunn shared a photo of the Man of Tomorrow script featuring an illustration of a brain exposed, and then fans thought that was Brainiac. Also, Gunn confirmed that Man of Tomorrow is a story about Lex Luthor, Superman having to work together to a certain degree against a much bigger threat. Could easily be described as a big, powerful villain. Yeah. I mean, although a lot of people say the Salvation universe is to build up Darkseid, I don't think James Gunn is just stupid to do that. I really don't think that is the case. But the kind of rumor suggests the Lanterns will introduce ancient beings beneath Earth surface, which could directly nod to the center's comic book origins. If true, this could connect and be the connective tissue to the Lanterns, Supergirl, and Man of Tomorrow set up a cosmic level threat. I mean, I'm still for James Gunn's universe, right? But if there's an option to have Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 and 3 and get a Man of Steel 2 and get a Ben Affleck Batman movie, then I'd be down for that as well. I'm not a Snyder bro. I just want good DC content. And it pains me to say Peacemaker Season 2 overall wasn't very bad. I'm the biggest John Cena fan ever. But it is what it is. I really don't think this post is teasing much. But it could be. There is potential here. But James Gunn needs to step away and just start being a Kevin Feige type and overlooking everything rather than trying to be the center of attention. James Gunn loves attention. We know it. You've already got a big-ass following. Big Hollywood celebrity. Everyone loves you. I don't know why. But just step away. Be a Kevin Feige role. Then I think you would actually do a lot better. But yes, I do think we could potentially get something. If not, you could maybe get like, you know, Sora 2 that's recently come out. AI technology, it's not there at the moment, but in maybe 4 or 5 years, you could get a whole AI, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, Man of Steel 2, with AI directed and done by Zack Snyder. Maybe that's the only way you get it. I mean, I don't think anime in it would be very good, but it's interesting. I think Zack would return, but it's just a case. Is Paramount going to win? Paramount, Skydance. Is Netflix going to win? Netflix has a very good relationship with Zack Snyder. I know a lot of people seem to think that they don't like him anymore because Rebel Moon wasn't a success. Rebel Moon got the watch time it needed to. It's not a theatrical release. Streaming numbers are completely different. Yeah, but Peacemaker really did flop harder than the first season. That is like, yeah. And you have like the James Gunn bros saying, oh, it's #1 on HBO Max. Of course Superman's going to come out #1 on HBO Max. There's no content on there until House of Dragons Season 2 comes out, until like Penguin Season 2 comes out, until the Lanterns. Of course, Superman would be #1 on there. They don't have much on there, let's be honest. So like always, lads, let me know, is this really teasing something? Is the center going to be the overall villain of the DCU? I think what they should do is a heel turn and have Zack Snyder be involved in the DCU and have Henry Cavill being like some kind of villain. That would be insane. And you could get the fandom back in that way, maybe, but it all depends what the new owners say. I know a lot of DCU bros think it's not being sold, but if Clayface flopped, if Supergirl flopped, if Green Lantern gets less than 1 million, Peacemaker Season 2 wasn't even getting 1 million views per episode. If they all flop, then there is no point of this universe continuing. So like always, guys, let us know everything down below, and I'll catch you in another video, guys, very soon. Catch you later.